Hi, everybody. My name is Todd McQueen. I'm the IT director at Coal Valley Christian Schools, and hoping to put together some videos for you on how we're shifting over to an online school for a temporary time. And I understand that for a lot of you, this is going to be an extra burden and things that you never expected you'd have to do. And if you're not familiar with technology, a lot of this feels really kind of confusing and it just doesn't all seem to make sense and tie together for you. And that's kind of the purpose of these videos, is to try to help you out with at least being able to get your kids to the right spot. A lot of the kids actually know what to do once they get in there and once they start to see the familiar pages. So listen to them too. From 5th grade up, they've been using Teams already, and below that, they've been exposed to it, but they may or may not remember some things. So this is just to help you out some and kind of familiarize you a little bit. This video is going to cover some things like our privacy and some of the concerns around that, and then just getting logged in. And then we'll do short videos on other details later. And thank you for your patience in this. It's a kind of a sudden change for us as well. So we're running into our own learning curve and finding things that work and don't work. So please bear with us as we figure it out. And also, I'm not a professional YouTuber. I don't make videos on the side. These are just things I'm putting together to try and help out. So please forgive me for the errors and mistakes I'll make along the way. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I want to talk about the privacy concerns related to what we're doing. We really haven't gotten many questions, but it's always something that comes up and that's in the back of people's minds, and I just want to get it out front. Coal Valley Christian Schools basically uses two systems that are not connected. One system is Facts, and that's where you see your tuition and your school lunches and student information, all the demographics, everything personal to you and your students is stored in Facts. And that's a third party that manages all that. Then we have the Microsoft Office 365 offering, and that's maintained separately. So none of the student data or family data or anything ends up in the Microsoft servers. And the way this works for us is we have servers at the school that manage all the logins for the students, and all that information is synchronized to Office 365. The only data that's involved here is the student's first name and last name, their email address, and their password. That's it. And the reason we do this is because of the number of tools that it opens up for them and allows them to use the same email address, password combination to log into multiple different education websites, for example, Khan Academy or Flipgrid and others that you'll hear about. And that's it. The only other thing that would be stored in the Microsoft servers would be student work content, which would be Word, documents, Excel, etc. And that's not actually falls into the, now that information could contain personally identifiable information. For example, if the kids are putting in their address and phone numbers in a Word document and then saving it, then that data can be there. But as far as a school, we don't store that data there. Alrighty, so let's move on. I need to show you how to log in real fast. And some of you have multiple students, and so it gets kind of crazy, especially if they're all sharing the same computer. If they all have their own, it's a lot easier to manage. But if you're a household with one system and they're all sharing it, that can be a challenge. And as we're rolling out this online content, we're keeping that in mind. We're trying not to make it so that too many things are time sensitive. So we're trying to open broad windows so that multiple kids through the day can take turns sharing the computer and getting work done. In the at the high school level, all this and there will be times during the week where they have to meet with their class in a live meeting, and that'll be happening with them. So if that's the only computer in the house, there will be periods of time where they have to be online, and then the other kids can work around that time if they're sharing that computer. But if you have other computers, they can use that one. And I'm going to show you a couple of tricks that should help ease the pain of that, I hope. I've started this video a few times. This is like take number 6, and we'll see how it goes this time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the Chrome web browser. Most of you probably use Google Chrome, not everybody. Personally, I don't. I use the Edge web browser, but everybody's got a favorite browser, like they have a favorite ice cream, so I'm not going to get too hung up on that. But I think since most people are familiar with Google Chrome, this would be a good example tool. Edge has a new version called Edge Chromium, and I've recently just started testing that, and it has some similar features. It's basically Microsoft's Edge browser built on the Chrome platform, so it has a lot of the same features. And this is a key part to this. Is going to be right up here at the top right, the current user. This is how we're going to keep our kids separate. So first of all, I'm going to go to office.com, and this is going to be the very first place you go for each of your students. And you should see a screen like this wanting you to sign in. The sign in is always going to be the student's email address and password. And they should know this, even down to the probably not second, but third. They know how to log into the computers at school, and they use their email address every day to log in, and their password. I'm sorry, not every day. 5th grade and up is every day. So they do know this information. They may forget it. It may be confusing because now they're doing it at home or not at school, and it feels different. But I have a fake student, so I'm going to put in his information. A couple things to keep in mind here. All the students' usernames and email addresses are going to be a first name dot last name format. Now, there are situations where we have kids with the same name, and in that situation, we will put their middle initial after their first name. So it would be Caleb T. McQueen, just one dot. And then at the end, it's always going to be the @cvcsonline.org. So something to keep in mind. And then the other thing, if you have a hyphenated last name or first name or a space in your last name, we just drop that. So we would just take the space out and concatenate the name without the space or the hyphen. So we hit next. Also, in very rare cases, we're going to have usernames that are too long. That actually can happen, and in those we'll have to work with you directly on that. All right, so we're going to select it's a work or a school account, and now we need to enter his password. And you can, if you check to don't show this again, what that does, it doesn't remember his password. It just, it creates a cookie that makes it easier to jump back and forth through different tools within Office 365. They will have to log in again. The browsers try to be helpful, and you might see this happen in just a minute, where it offers to save your password. That's always a bad idea, just as a general security practice. I would never do that. There are tools you can use to remember passwords and make your life easier. I just wouldn't let the browser do it. So we're going to hit yes to this. See if we get our little pop-up. I did not. All right, so this is Caleb's Office 365. This is where the students can access Outlook for their email. OneDrive is where they save all their files, and then Word, Excel, PowerPoint. OneNote's another tool alongside those three that's super helpful. You'll be seeing and hearing more of that probably. What you have to know about OneNote is it's like a 3-ring binder when we were all in school, and you would add pages into that, and you could add dividers into that, and you could break it into multiple different subjects. That's what OneNote is. Super handy tool. SharePoint they won't be using. Teams is the hub of everything we do. So when you come here, email is about the only thing that's separate from Teams. And they do need to check their email. We will send communications to students through email. But everything that they do that's class related is going to be in Teams. And that's going to include all their files. It's going to include any meetings that the teacher sets up with them, which is more of a case in high school, but it could happen at lower grade levels too. Now the teachers can schedule meetings, and those meetings can be video. So they can, kids can see their teachers and talk to them and keep that relationship going. So I'm going to take a pause for just a second, and we're gonna take a look at how to do this for a second student. And I don't actually have another student to log in, but I don't really need to for the demonstration here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to where it says this is called the user profile. And when you're in Chrome, you're using a profile. And I'm going to just click on that, and I'm going to add another profile. And you can see I've already tested this. I'm just going to add one, and I'll pick a picture. And we'll just call this one Jenny. And then I'm going to leave this box checked that creates a desktop shortcut. I'm going to hit add. Now, it just brings you to this page. It opens up a whole new browser. Watch this. I'm going to go back to office.com. And see, it doesn't know who I am. That's important. The browsers have to, each student needs their own version of the browser to do this, to be most successful. Otherwise, you're going to run into a lot of technical problems. And look what it did. I'm going to minimize it. Well, it doesn't seem to have done it. What it was supposed to do, and I didn't see it happen, and it did this for Caleb. It was supposed to create another icon right here for Jenny. And then that would allow them to just click on that icon to open their browser. Regardless, even if it doesn't create the icon, you can go up to the user and just switch. So I'm going to switch back to Caleb. Now, this is not the one I had open before. I had person 1 open. This is the one I originally logged into. So do you see what I'm doing here? I'm going through it a little fast, and it's a little confusing, but I'm jumping between each of my kiddos into different sessions entirely. And so for you can make this a lot easier for you and your kiddos just by creating these different profiles. Now you'll also notice, I'm going to go back to the first one I started. When I click up here, I'm not signed into the browser as Caleb. I'm only signed into Microsoft as Caleb. You don't need to sign into the browser as anybody. And I would recommend against that, actually, for these purposes. Just stay signed out. But if you want to sign in, you can. And then from here, now that we've got a browser open for each student, I don't have another login to do for this student. Who was this? Oh, this is the first Caleb. Now this one should remember his login information. It does, because it's the same user. I'm going to close that one out. All right. So this is the first one I did again. I'm going to open up Teams. And then here in the end, I will re-summarize. That was kind of crazy jumping back and forth there and switching screens. I'll summarize it again. You can turn off the option to turn on notifications. So this is Teams, and this is the web browser view. It's important to know there's two pieces. Teams can be run in a web browser like we're doing now, or in a desktop app, which is installed with the rest of Office, just like you would with a Microsoft Word. I recommend just using the web browser portion, especially if you have multiple students. you should be able to do everything you need to do in the web browser. If you do need to download the desktop version, you can also do it from the bottom left, but keep in mind that's going to install it for one person on the computer. Switching users in that application is going to be way different than what I'm showing you here. This is a much easier way to do it. So if you go to Teams, you'll see all the classes, and they come up in thumbnails like this. Let me see, there's another way. Yeah, if you switch view to the list, some students will see their teams all lined up on the left side. And you can use the little arrow to the side to expand and collapse. Always look for these 3 dots. These are the ellipses. You'll hear me refer to that. There's lots of options underneath those ellipses, and they're in a lot of different places. So we'll just, when I say ellipses, I'll try to point out where they are at, and that's what you'll want to look at. I am more familiar with using Teams in the other view, so I'm going to switch back. Oops, that's not what I want to do. To the grid. And this is how I use Teams. So when I see Caleb's class, the team is the portal to the class. And over here, this is the left rail. And this is where your teams are. This is where your assignments are. And the student's calendar is also right here. And then you have an activity thread. This activity thread will show assignments that are being made to the students. It'll also show if there's other chats or conversations going on that they can be in. Switch the activity to things that they're doing themselves. So let's go look at the teams. I'm going to open up Caleb's class. There's some things to look at here. There's going to be some tabs along the top. So over here on the left are channels, and this is good. It shows, see how it shows one hidden channel? This could happen to you, and your student could end up with a hidden channel. So you're just going to click on the arrow. There's the channel. Click on show, and there it is. Now it shows the channel. If it's in bold, it means there's new content in there that you haven't seen yet. That's just a quick little shortcut. Okay, I want to go into Teams more. I think what I'm going to do is stop it here, and then I'll come back in another video so we can address Teams correctly. But real quick, just to summarize again how to create this different user profiles. You just come up here, click on current user. Right now I'm person 1. So I'm going to go to click add a user, I'll just pick a picture to make it easy. Put a name in there, say create shortcut, and hopefully it'll create a shortcut. Minimize all my, now that one it did. See, there's Bob right there. So in both of these cases, for Caleb and Bob, I unchecked that box and then rechecked it. But when I did it for Jenny, I didn't do that. So maybe that's the difference. Not real sure. But now you've got an easy way for the kids to get back in. So let's just close out of all the browsers. All right. So now I'm going to open up Caleb's by double clicking it. I'm going to go to office.com, and you can bookmark this if you want. And there, he's already logged in. Now, let's say we want Bob. You just click on the user, select Bob. There we go. There's Bob's. Now Bob can go to office.com. And even though Jenny doesn't have a shortcut, she's also in here. There you go. That's how best to manage multiple kids on one device. Thank you for watching this. I appreciate your patience. We're praying for you guys, and we covet your prayers and all of what we're doing and all this transition and going on into the late school year and heading towards summer. Thank you for everything, and thanks for your help, support, and all that you've blessed us with.